Y'all, Candy had to lay the smack down on these people in this episode, mostly Phillip, okay, when she was on the screen. And you know what? I was thinking about it today. I said maybe that's a little bit of the ratings dilemma right now, is because we don't get enough Candy and Todd in this show. And I think maybe if we got a little bit more Candy and Todd in the show, I think that people might be more inclined to watch this show because it is actually really good, okay? And so as I thought about it, I said, yes, this is very much giving me. Now, it's not Vanderpump Rules because you know they are not going to be preying on Vanderpump Rules, okay? And they probably not even going to be showing that many black people on Vanderpump Rules. But what I was thinking was to myself, I said, self, perhaps the issue is with the ratings, because I do believe that they're going to continue to go up. But I said it's really a show that's focused on so many new characters. We got to warm up to these people. And so we need a little bit more Candy and Todd in the mix and a little bit more of the OLG in the mix as well to really make this show give it the punch that it definitely needs. Or like I said, give it a proper lead in. But anyway, we're going to discuss this week's episode of Candy and the Gang. Episode 3 is called Rowdy Employees and Uptight Managers, okay? Now chime in the chatterization, A, and let me know where you're watching from. And then B, you're going to let me know what you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, myself, and I, he, him, I'm going to give it we're going to give it a 9, a 9.2. I'm going to give it a 9.2. You know what I like about this show? They didn't give me no to be continued, okay? Because you know I hate a to be continued. I hate it with a passion. So I'm super glad they didn't give us any of that this episode. But we got a whole lot of shenanigans, a whole lot of fighting, and a whole lot of people sitting around at the bar not doing no work. And that is unheard of to me. Let me tell you something. I have worked in the serving business, okay? I know what it's like to be a server. And what you don't do and what you don't have time to do and what you will not let your manager see you do is sitting down on the job. It's customers to be served, things to be cleaned, a bar to tend to, and food to make. We ain't got no time for anybody to be sitting around. And if anybody is sitting around, you need to be sent home, okay? Send them home, all right? Now, let me see what y'all saying. 9.29, 9.25, 9.5. I see you. I give it a 9. Hey, boo. Hey, Durham, San Francisco in the building. Hey, what's going on, y'all? HR consultants needed. Maybe that'll be the next person they hire, okay? We got an 8.5 in the building. Durham, North Carolina, we got an 8, a 7. What else? If you okay, you better say it. Let me tell you something. If you sitting up there around the bar, okay, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. California cutie, you own the money today. You own the money today, baby. You are on the money today. Robin said it's the most interesting episode. She gave it a 9, okay? Now, Neri says a solid 9 because of Phillip. I'm going to tell you the truth. Let's get into the episode already because I'm already, fired up. Now, I'm wearing my yellow sweater today in solidarity with Tauren because I feel like Tauren had been told that good Phillip, he gave him the business today. He gave him what happened and who for, okay? I felt like Tauren had walked up in that room to take the measurements of that event space. And Phillip, sitting up in there on his computer, started up in with him, and Tauren had to let him know, brother, you may be the GM, but Candy is the one that signed my check, okay? And she is the one that brought me in here. You got a problem with me being here, brother? You talk to Candy. She's your boss, and she's the one who brought me in. I felt like what I loved about what Tauren did was he didn't raise his voice. He sat there calmly in his yellow sweater, and he gave Phillip the business. And a lot of times I side with Phillip because I feel like he be right about these employees that don't be doing nothing. But today, baby, I felt like Tauren was actually coming in there to work. And it was Phillip who was actually interrupting the work that Tauren was trying to do. So I feel like, yes, Tauren, get into him, get all the way up into him. And I said, he handles Phillip today, okay? And Phillip couldn't even say nothing. He just kind of sitting there like, well, I'm going to get back to my work because it's more interesting than this. Well, you started with him. And can y'all get Phillip in office so he don't have to work in the event space? Why is he in there anyway? He should be in a back office somewhere doing some work, filing some paperwork or whatever he do behind the scenes, okay? Anyway, And the last thing that I like that Phillip, that Tauren said about Phillip, he was like, you know what? Everything everybody said about you was right. You're a great guy. And then he walked on up out of there and met with KANDI. Okay. And met with KANDI. Meanwhile, while Tauren met with KANDI, Phillip meets with Don Juan. Okay. And Phillip tells, first of all, Phillip calls Tauren Big Bird because of his yellow sweater. And again, solidarity, my brother, in the yellow. All right. And he basically says he doesn't like Tauren. And then Tauren recaps the situation with KANDI. And basically, it's like this. Tauren is like, I'm not gonna take Phillip. I mean, it is what it is. I don't really know what's going on with him, but I'm not taking this. So KANDI, after she finishes her conversation with Tauren, because she's like, well, Phillip is not in the event space no more. You can go back there and do what you got to do. KANDI joins Don Juan and they chat with Phillip, and he feels like Tauren came in too strong when it was really the other way around. It was like, this man came up in there to do some work that he was asked to do. You start in with him. And see, Phillip, I like him, but sometimes he just take things a step too far. I mean, it's like he got a hold to that power and he said, well, y'all gonna listen to me today and I'm gonna give you whatever I want to give you, however I want to give it to you, and you gonna take it because I'm the boss right now. Okay. KANDI let him know not today. Thank you so much for that super chat, Espar. I appreciate you. Okay. Meanwhile, Phillip tells KANDI and Don that that Tauren is gonna have to report to them because he's not gonna deal with Tauren. And KANDI says, now you tripping, okay? Apparently, we learned that Phillip has also done some GMing at the Blaze, okay? And KANDI says, you ain't never said that about any of the difficulties that you faced at Blaze, so you're not gonna do it here. And then KANDI basically says in her confessional, I pay you. You don't pay me. Okay. And she had to let him know. And Phillip ain't had nothing to say. Okay. Because, you know, KANDI the boss and she paying the paychecks. And she says, you're used to dealing with difficult people. So basically deal with these people. All right. Because that's your job. Meanwhile, at Patrick and Melvin's house, Tauren done finished with the event space. Now he going over to another blank space because Patrick and Melvin need some interior decorating, okay? And I did wonder to myself, well, I wonder why Patrick ain't get his girlfriend to do that. You know, just sometimes, you know, guys who are bachelors and you might have a girlfriend or something like that, guys may not always have that design aesthetic. And sometimes they may get their girlfriends to do it. So in my mind, I would have thought, yeah, why didn't he get, you know, Safari to do it or whatever? Once I saw her office, I understood why. But anyway, Tauren is stopping by with his tool belt and he's ready to do the doggone thing. He's going to help do the interior design. And we learned that Patrick wants to have a housewarming party once the designs are finished, okay? And apparently Melvin is going to help, you know, chip in for some of this, even though he ain't got no say-so in the matter or whatever, okay? Anthony says, KANDI got Phil together. Yes, she did. She laid that smack down. Yes, she did, okay? Now, and thank you for that super chat. Okay, so back at the OLG, everybody is running around doing their thing. Or not, okay? Because the sink is clogged the F up. And the bartender, Dom, is late because she dancing somewhere. I don't know where, okay? And they notice that Brandon, who makes the schedule, basically lets Dom do whatever she want to do, you know, because he like her or whatever. We learned that she just finished dancing. I don't know where she was. Maybe down at the P Valley. I don't know. She does the dancing. And I mean P Valley for the TV show. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she filming for the TV show or something like that. I don't mean she a stripper. Please don't take what I'm saying that way. I just meant that maybe she's, you know, off doing some theatrical types of dancing and things because that's what she wants to do. So anyway, Brian is like, well, who is going to manage the bar? Because Brian is like, I'm managing my sobriety. I'm not trying to be back here and have this stuff take me back into the depths of where I just came from. And he's like, Brandon, get behind the bar. Brandon, meanwhile, is sitting at the bar thinking to himself that he could just sit there and do whatever he want to do because he is supposed to be a manager in training, a manager in some type of management program. I don't know what he's doing because he's barely managing. But anyway, that bar is filthy. Side note, listen, KANDI and Todd, I don't even know why y'all let these people show what was going on behind that bar because it looked absolutely disgusting. And again, I have serving experience. I done been behind the bar a couple of times, you know, to do a thing or two here and there. And I got to tell you, that bar was filthy. And I would fire all of them, to be quite honest with you. Everybody would be fired. Everybody that was working that day, all of them will be fired because there is no sense for you to have the the ketchup cups and things like that laying on the floor and the sink filled with straws and all kinds of other to and what for. And trust and believe, again, I say I know what the back of a restaurant looks like, and it should not look like that, okay? Especially behind the bar. Well, as I'm a customer, all I got to do is peep over on the floor. No, sir, I don't want my drink today. Thank you. No, thank you. You cannot make my drink until you clean up that floor, okay? Bottom line. That's not what it's supposed to look like. All right. So anyway, and mind you, that makes it even worse that Brandon is just sitting there eating while the sink overfloweth. It doesn't make any sense to me. If the least you could do is get a bucket, drain all that water out, toss some Drano up in that sink, and try to keep it pushing. Ain't no way I would have let the camera see what was going on in that sink. Ain't no way. And then still have a job, you fired, okay? You are fired. Actually, probably wouldn't be no more employees left because I think I might fire all of them. Whoever was working that day. Can't fire Dominique because she was late, okay? So she ain't had nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, Phillip checks in with Shandricka, and you know what I like about Shandricka? Shandricka gonna tell everybody else's business. Shandricka said, listen, I'm up here trying to do my job, but baby, let me tell you, ain't nothing going on back there, okay? Not even the rent. These people are not doing anything that they're supposed to be doing. Brandon sitting down, not managing nothing, okay? Brian not doing nothing. Ain't nobody doing nothing, okay? So, Phillip, I need you to handle that because, I'm up here handling my business, okay? And it was nice to see Phillip and Shandricka have a nice little moment, but Phillip peeped her game because he was like, you know what? Shandricka gonna do anything to make herself look good, okay? And to make these other people look bad. Okay. So then what happens is Phillip goes to the back to check in on Brandon and the interim manager. I forgot her name. Was it Tanika or somebody? Let me know in the chat. And anyway, he really gets into Brandon for sitting down and eating on the job. Brandon ain't feeling it, but he's going to go along with it anyway. So next, we get all the people meeting up at the bar. We got Tauren, Brandon, Melvin, Dom, and Brandon shows up. Tauren is still trying to figure out if Dom and Brandon are dating, but Dom ain't budging and ain't giving nobody no information or whatever. Shandricka shows up with her fiance, June, and I thought to myself, I wrote in my notes, is it just me or is Patrick looking a little uncomfortable? Because we know that Shandricka and Patrick had a little thingerization at one point in time, right? But what we did not know in the beginning was that June, Shandricka's fiance, and Patrick had some words outside of the restaurant. Okay, so now that was interesting. Patrick invites everybody to the housewarming. Shandricka doesn't really want to go because, again, the last time Patrick and June ran into each other, they had words. Brian sort of gets into his drinking during the pandemic, just a touch with Shandricka. Shandricka then lets us know that it was not only the drinking, but it was also the drugs as well. And she is looking out for him. Okay. Now, the next thing we see is Brandon running a pre-shift meeting and they pray before the shift starts. And see, that's why I said this is where this show differs from that Vanderpump Rules, because I bet you will never see them praying on Vanderpump Rules, and you probably won't see many black people either. But that's a story for a different day, okay? Anyway, Brandon believes that he can sit at the bar whenever he wants to because he is a manager and he is the overseer. Okay. Brandon, that is incorrect. I have never worked in an establishment where I have seen the manager of a restaurant sitting around just chomping on the food unless it was break time. Okay. Anyway, as a result of seeing Brandon sitting around, Brian and Shardo believe they could just sit around too. I mean, if management's sitting around and they being lazy, I might as well be lazy too. Let me just have a sit on down here at the bar. At the bar of all places. Y'all couldn't go to the back, okay? Y'all couldn't go to the back to the event space to sit around. Y'all gonna sit in front of everybody, okay? At least, let me tell you something. At least if you gonna try to sit your butt down on the job, do it on a day where the cameras ain't there, okay? Do it on a day when, or run from the cameras, hide, do it behind the scenes, but don't sit down on the job while you are on the clock and while you being filmed. Let me tell you why, okay? Because if you get suspended, let's just say Phillip decides to suspend somebody like he's gonna do in a minute. That means that you may not be featured on the next couple of episodes. And you know what that means? You're going to be missing some coins from the show, okay? That's what happens. If you be missing from some scenes and you can't come work at the restaurant, and if they don't want to film you outside of the restaurant, guess who's going to be short a little check or something like that? Now, if you want to sass off to Phillip and stuff like that, like you want to do, I mean, okay, I'm not cool with that, but it is what it is. But don't just be sitting around and then have some back talk for Brandon, okay? You got back talk for Brandon, and this is Brian got the back talk for Brandon, okay? And Brandon ain't really confrontational, so he don't really handle the things like Phillip does. So he kind of just lets Brian walk off after chastising him for sitting down on the job. But really, Brian is like, well, I'm just doing what you do. So, I mean, what does it matter? Anyway, Phillip checks in with Brandon, who lets him know that Brian and Shardo was sitting around on the job. Phillip thinks that Brandon needs to be more assertive. Now, next scene. Don Juan meets with Phillip, and he relays what Brandon told him about Brian sitting down on the job. Notice Brandon didn't say, I was sitting down on the job too, and I had to go correct him because that would have implicated himself as a sitter down on the job, okay? He would have to be implicated in his own laziness. So he left that part out. I just want y'all to notice that. So anyway, he basically, tells him that, well, Brian snapped at me or whatever. Don does not believe that Brandon is ready to be a GM. And I can tell you, Don, you are correct. Brandon is not GM ready. And I hate to say it, because I want the brother to win. But in order to win, he's going to have to make some changes. And sitting at the bar is not going to help him, okay? So Don calls everybody over and they address Brian. Poor Brandon has to stumble through confronting Brian about him sitting down on the job and then snapping at him when he tried to tell him not to be sitting around. And then Phillip basically comes in and tells Brian, well, you don't do anything anyway, and I could terminate you if I wanted to. And he tries to tell Brian, I've been in your shoes before, but snapping at blah, 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 ... And Brian is like, I'm a size 8. You have never been in my shoes before. I was like, now, you know what? It's KANDI and the gays. Let me tell you something. These gays on this show, and I'm gonna tell you, they are popping off at the mouth, okay? And poor Don Juan is just sitting there like head bouncing back and forth like he watching a ping pong match with these people going off on each other. And finally, Phillip tells Don basically that Brian doesn't fit the culture that he's trying to establish and basically suspends Brian right on the spot. And Brian starts yelling, based off what? Based off what you suspended me? And everybody in the restaurant turning their heads and looking at this argument go down, right? And so Don basically has to take Brian outside to have a little ponderosa with him about the way he's acting and why it's inappropriate to be yelling at your manager, your GM. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what you can't be doing that. You can't do it. As much as I do think that Phillip does come in kind of strong. He is right. You know, Brian can't be sitting around on the job, and Brandon can't be sitting around on the job. And if you're gonna address somebody first, you really have to address Brandon, because Brandon is setting a precedence for the rest of the employees. And so because they see him sitting around, they think that they could do the same thing. Okay, so as Jan Van Zant says, the fish stinks from the head down. And Brandon, right now, well, you the problem. Okay. Lala, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you. All right. Now, Don tells Brian, you're being insubordinate. And he basically let him know, you need to tell Brandon that you got to go home today. Okay. So then Phillip and Don Juan meet back at the table. And Phillip is hot. Actually, I thought he was so hot that like upset, that I thought he was going to cry. I really did. You know how sometimes you can be so mad about something that it just brings tears to your eyes? I thought in my mind, I thought that's where this was about to go, but it did not go there. Okay, it went in a completely different direction, i.e. Phillip walking in a different direction, because he ends up walking off on Don Juan. Oh yes, not on Don Juan. Yes, he did. Basically, Phillip blames all the chaos and confusion on the people that KANDI and them employ, because at other establishments, this type of chaos and confusion does not happen. And Phillip feels like Don taking Brian outside made Brian feel like his actions were okay. And Don Juan tries to tell him that he can't keep Phillip. He was like, Phillip, you cannot keep giving me ultimatums every time you have an issue. And you have had multiple arguments with multiple staff members, and I am tired of being the referee. And at that point in time, Phillip, without saying a word, basically gets up and walks off and goes to his car to vent into the telephone camera. Okay. And so he basically gets into the camera and he says this: Don Juan is also a part of the problem, but I know I need to go make things right with Don Juan. We don't see that happen yet, but I'm sure a Ponderosa is coming soon. Okay. So, Patrick goes to visit his boo Safari at Body by Safari. Now, he says he's got some extra happy weight, and they're gonna do a little bit of lipo or whatever. Now, it's some non-surgical lipo where you do some things and then you when you go to the bathroom, the fat comes out or something like that. I have had this done before at a place that I used to go to in Miami. And those types of things really do work. I think I'm due for another session, to be quite honest with you, because I feel like, I just have noticed some things. I'm gonna head to the gym when I leave here. Anyway, what we noticed is, okay, she does non-surgical cosmetic treatments, and Safari basically does not see a need for Tauren to be decorating Patrick and Melvin's place, because she's like, well, look around here. I can decorate. And I'm looking at butterflies on the wall, and I'm thinking to myself, this is fine for your office. I don't know what your home looks like, but if we're looking at the example here of your office decor and you are thinking of translating that into this man's bachelor pad, I'm gonna need you to let Tauren go ahead and do his thing, boo. Go ahead and let him, because I am sure Safari is great at what she does in terms of getting the body sculpting and everything else that you need to go get your body and booty right and tight. But maybe decorating is not the thing that I feel like the specialization. I don't think that's your area of expertise, just based on the office. But you know what? An office can be bland. It can be, and that's fine. I don't go walk into my doctor's office and expect to be wowed. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to do what you got to do to me. Make me look good. I don't need to know what your inside of your office decor look like. But at the end of the day, if I'm judging it based on what the office decor look like, let somebody else do it. Okay. Anyway, now Patrick ends up telling Safari, hey, boo, I'm having a housewarming party, but I want to invite Shandricka, you know, the chick I used to kick it with. And Safari's like, no, you not. Okay. I don't want her there. And I don't feel like I should be subject to that. And Patrick is like, well, okay, she's uninvited then. And the producer asks, Patrick, are you whipped? And he's like, well, I mean, I'm glad I ain't a hoe no more. Let me tell y'all something. If you are in a relationship and your bae, especially if you got a good one, and your bae tells you, I feel uncomfortable with you inviting some ex of yours that you used to talk to your housewarming party, and I'm gonna be there. And I know that you and her, I don't even know if she know that June and Patrick had words a couple of weeks or days or however many minutes ago. But whatever the case may be is, if your significant other tells you that they feel uncomfortable with somebody that you used to date being at your housewarming party, the correct thing to do is to disinvite that person. I am 100% in alignment with that thought pattern. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. Go ahead, listen to your significant other, because at the end of the day, they the person that you got to go to bed with at night, okay? And you don't want to be uncomfortable getting into bed. Meanwhile, the OLG, and by OLG, I mean Mama Joyce, Aunt Bertha, Aunt Nora are having a water aerobics day with Shandricka, and Aunt Bertha is already not feeling Shandricka. I don't think Aunt Bertha like none of them, to be quite honest with you. I don't think she like nobody at that restaurant except for Melvin. You know what I'm saying? And Patrick, because, basically relatives. But I'm saying everybody else, she don't care for, because she don't like, they don't do nothing anyway. Dom shows up, KANDI shows up, they all get in the pool to work out. Aunt Bertha ain't even feeling that. She's like, I don't want to be in this water. Put me in a bathtub. I don't want to be out here in this cold pool doing all these things with y'all. I have better things to do with my time. Meanwhile, afterwards, they start eating. And Dom tells KANDI that, was it Dom or Shandricka? One of the two told KANDI that Brian had been suspended. And, in his confessional, Todd ain't mad at it, because Todd, like, if you ain't working, you get to step in. I need to see more of Todd in this show, because I want to see Todd come in and wreck shop with these folks, because I feel like Todd will get these people together, okay? Todd will get them together. Hey, new member, boo. How you doing? Welcome to the gang, okay? Now, Shandricka lets KANDI know that she's getting along better with Phillip after he sent her home, okay? And Mama Joyce is like, well, I bet you stopped doing whatever you was doing to get sent home. And Shandricka's like, well, I didn't do nothing. And Mama Joyce is, I bet you know better, okay? Because I think I need more Mama Joyce in the restaurant as well, too. I mean, just to be, just to be real. Mama Joyce says she likes Phillip. Aunt Nora likes that, well... Aunt Nora likes that the fact that Phillip is not, trying to chase the girls and date the girls in the in the restaurant. And I'm like, well, no, he's not trying to date the girls in the restaurant. Okay, we know that much. All right. But Aunt Bertha wants it to be known. Please, actually, write it on the card that I'm in right now on the screen. Aunt Bertha does not like Phillip, okay? And I told y'all, Aunt Bertha don't like nobody, all right? So, KANDI wants to have a ponderosa with Phillip, okay? Mama Joyce says if the people can't be respectful, kick them out. They need to go. I'm with you, Mama Joyce, because don't nobody, listen, after I saw that filthy floor, everybody fired, okay? Every last one of y'all. The show would have been about hiring new employees, to be quite honest with you, if it was me. But that's just, it ain't me. I don't own a restaurant, and that's that. But anyway, KANDI also wants a ponderosa with the staff to set some real expectations. I'm like, didn't we do this in episode 1? And they ain't following those expectations yet? How many times are you going to let them fool you? Because after a while, it's your fault. Okay? Anyway, Tauren and Brian meet, and this was actually a really good scene. In case anybody, I mean, if you have not watched this show yet, this was such a good scene right here. We get into Tauren and Brian recapping Brian being suspended, and they complain that the OLG restaurant has gone through like a lot of different managers. And then we get into Brian's issues, and we learn that Brian ended up pushing Tauren away, and Tauren felt like he had to distance himself from Brian when Brian was going through his downward spiral. Apparently, Brian says he had anxiety bartending, and I don't know if he was drinking on the job, but he said that he was drinking a bottle of vodka per day. Do y'all remember How to Get Away with Murder? Do y'all remember when Annalise would pour that vodka into that cup, and she would fill that cup up to the brim with vodka? And I thought to myself, now surely she's not going to drink all that. And I know it's a TV show, so it was probably water or whatever. But the fact remains is that what Brian said really emphasized to me that there are actually people who can consume that amount of vodka in one day, okay? In one day. And that is a lot, okay? He said that it got so bad. Now, he also said he was addicted to some other substances as well. But it got so bad that he was throwing up 2 to 3 times per day, okay? Oh, throwing up blood. My bad. Throwing up blood 2 to 3 times a day. And I was like, baby, now this is, matter of fact, I need to go watch KANDI speak on it with Brian, because that speak on it is out right now. And I'm sure he gets more into that story. But it really just touched my heart, because if you have never dealt with alcoholism, or if you've never really seen it, and I have to tell you that I've heard of people who have had issues with alcohol, but to actually imagine the bottle of alcohol and imagine someone drinking and consuming that much of it, it really just hit home with me. And then to hear him talk about the effects of that is like, wow. And the fact that he opened up in such a way to even then tell us that his sister at 49 took her own life, and beside her was also a bottle of vodka as well. And this was only 3 months ago. The fact that this is so fresh and he is able to speak about it in this way, I felt like you don't see a lot of this on reality TV, but these are the real moments on reality TV that really resonate with people. And I hope that people are watching this show because of moments like this. I wasn't expecting that, although KANDI did, I think on her live with Don Juan, did speak on how open and vulnerable the cast was going to be. And baby, let me tell you something. I was like, wow, almost in tears myself, because you could just feel the raw emotion in that moment. And I was just in awe. And I just have to commend him for just being able to do that. I really do. And the fact, like I said, that it had only been 3 months that it happened, was mind-blowing to me, that he was even able to still come back into a space where he wanted to work. Okay. And I just really appreciate that, that he was that transparent. All about those comments. Oh, I like your name. That name says Brian speak on it was one of the most touching I have ever seen. So y'all, please go watch that speak on it. I'm actually going to place that in a link in the description, because I just think that we talk about drama, and we will talk about, we kiki and we laugh about the crazy stuff on this show. But when we come across stories like this, it's so important, especially within the Black community, that we really understand what's going on and what's happening, and really also be gentle when we hear about situations like this, because everybody got a story. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'll go in on somebody, but I ain't really serious like that about it. And we got to just always be cognizant that everybody has a past and everybody has gone through traumas, and we're all just trying to do the best that we can. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's my review of KANDI and the Gang episode 3. Thank you again, All About the Comments, for that super chat, and anybody who just joined and became a member. And if you watched this video, and commented in any way, shape, or form. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for allowing me to do what I do on this channel. I'm thankful for you guys. So I just wanted to say that. And that's it, y'all. I'm gonna get my butt to the gym and I'm gonna watch that Speak on It while I hit that treadmill. Okay. So y'all do the same. I'll put it in the link in the description. Y'all know I love y'all, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.